this video is going to be a little bit different. I figured the topic's going to be a little bit different, so the format can be a little bit different too. The irony being that the reason the video is the way it is also part of the topic of the video. Lately I've been thinking a lot about how social media influences how we create art or whatever we're going to do, whether it's music or in my case, paintings. And how the various changes in social media, what content types, what gets seen, what gets liked, how that actually has an influence on what you do. Now, I think everybody that plays in this world knows that the rules are constantly changing, and we don't really have a say, and we rarely find out what parameters those are. To give you an example, for the last year or so, everybody's pretty much on Instagram anyways is leaned towards Reels. You know, the more the competitor of TikTok, and YouTube has its own version of Shorts, and Facebook has started to adopt Reels as well. Now, the format change-up was kind of out of the blue. Instagram is largely a photo sharing app, and of course they were doing some long format video as well, and that was cool. But all of a sudden now everybody's kind of pushed into doing Reels. Or on the surface it seems like a really big challenge, a big leap to go from how do I photo what I'm doing, say artwork in this case, and turn it into short format video, something that's really digestible, 10, 15 seconds. And but that was actually a good catalyst for change. This is one of the rare times where I thought the changes in social media actually pushed me in a direction that helped things in a big way. Before, when I was just sharing photos, you could see the end result, and more or less people that are buying my artwork are buying based on the end result, or at least that's what I thought. But as I started to share videos and people got to see more of the process, more of the behind the scenes, it really actually opened up all the possibilities for people to see what my process really looked like, especially because the artwork has little to do at the end with how it looks in the beginning. And that's actually something that I've always enjoyed about the way that I like to do artwork. I like to make a big mess. I like to push paint around. I like heavy textures. I like spray patterns. I like a lot of roughness. But given the subject of what I specialize in, which is automotive art, there are a lot of details that absolutely have to be right in order for the idea to sell, in order for it visually to work. So there are aspects that have to be done correctly. Wheels, headlights, these are the things that I consider to be the most critical. Door edges, things like that. But the reality is almost everything in between can be somewhat abstract, so long as you're doing your lighting and shading somewhat correctly. All that to say that Reels actually kind of give me permission to share more of that process. Initially, I wasn't sure how I was going to do that, but I was already starting to do a little bit of it on TikTok anyway, so it wasn't really that difficult. I really just had to remove myself a little bit from the process. Well, that's kind of a weird thing to say, huh? I didn't really remove myself from the process. That's a lie. I am the process. No. But there's something else on the flip side of that as well. So say a social media platform wants us to do more short video. That's great. But what are the parameters? What makes something a successful post? What's too short? What's too long? Do I have to use audio that's trending? These are questions that the answer is constantly changing to. Sometimes short video is better. Sometimes long video is better. Sometimes this audio is better than this audio. And at a certain point, I just kind of threw my hands up a few months ago when I had a bunch of reels that were doing awesome. I mean, millions of views on every single reel in a month, and it was fantastic. My account grew really quickly, which is awesome. But then quickly after that, there was a really big drop-off, and I wasn't sure if it was people were already bored of what I was doing, which would be crazy. You wouldn't think that people would get bored so quick, but hey, it's the internet after all. And then after trying to stab in the dark a little bit, just trying to figure out, well, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do this, maybe if I do this, I kind of found myself where I've been a million times in the last 9 years of doing Instagram largely full-time, is that I was doing what I call chasing the algorithm, or trying to win a game that we don't even know the rules to, and it's very easy to get trapped in that. And once I finally stepped back and realized that I was trying so hard to play the game that I wasn't really paying attention to my artwork in the way that I was, I had to change the way that I thought. I ended up with a lot of views on some pieces that I'm very proud of, and sold almost everything out of that entire series the day those pieces were new, which is awesome. But seeing how things dropped off so quickly after that, it's easy to kind of take it personal, feel like it's a reflection of who you are, how you are as an artist. If you're not getting the likes and views, maybe people don't like what you're sharing. The reality of car artwork is sometimes people are going to like American Muscle, sometimes people are going to like Italian import, sometimes people are going to like JDM stuff. The great thing is that there is variety, but it also does mean that the results are going to vary so much from day to day. And I know that, but it is the trap of social media, of paying so much attention to the analytics and the metrics that you're actually not paying attention to the very thing that you're doing. And sometimes I talk about this with other artists in terms of losing yourself when playing the game. If you lose who you are as an artist in the game of playing social media, then you've lost everything. The whole purpose is for you to do what you know how to do. Everybody else is just there to kind of experience it with you. The reality, of course, is that my job is to make artwork, to sell artwork. That's my full-time job. I gotta sell artwork. So it can be easy to take the point of view of, I should do what sells. And there's nothing wrong with that inherently, because selling is really important. Selling artwork is actually really, really important. I wouldn't be where I am without selling artwork. But your artwork is really supposed to be your way of communicating with the world. If you derive your style from what's sellable, you will constantly be looking for who you are in your artwork, and maybe sometimes even as a person. I've gone down this path many, many times of being unsure of a lot of things simply because I wasn't getting the feedback on artwork posts. It's funny now to look back at artwork that I've done, and I've done a lot of artwork because I go through artwork really, really fast, and see stuff from years ago that I was really, really proud of, or that I am proud of now that I look at it, but in the moment not really feeling that connected to it, not because I didn't enjoy it, because at the time nobody else did. And all that's a long-winded way to get back to this piece that we're seeing in this video right now, this Volkswagen Bug. The culmination of me throwing my hands up and kind of going, wait a minute, I'm playing the social media game in the way that I know I shouldn't be. I know better, and I still do it. I'm human after all. So by the time I threw my hands up, I went, well, if there were no parameters, if I wasn't worried about views, what would I do? And I thought, well, the one thing that I do a lot is the one thing that I felt like I did a lot lately in social media is I played it safe. When I see what gets views, what gets likes, I kind of go, all right, people respond to this. So it's sort of easy to default to, that's what I'm going to do. And for me, that came in the form of monochromatic artwork. A lot of black and white stuff, or a blue car is blue, a red car is red, and not really straying away from that. And there's always kind of been a little bit of an artwork disconnect for me. That stuff, it can be really skillful and interesting, but not artistic in the way that I feel like I'm really after. So this moment was a chance to go, well, what is it then? What would I do if nobody was giving me any instruction? What would I do if I weren't looking for the likes? What would I do just to try something that would be satisfying to me and not worried about social media? So I picked a car. It was this Volkswagen Bug. And my immediate first thought for concept was, I'm going to use every color I have here, every material I have within an arm's reach, which is spray cans and acrylics, airbrush, and I'm going to make a total mess, and I'm going to enjoy making that mess the entire time. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, also great. Because the purpose was actually to have fun. And the use of color, for me, was something that wasn't considered safe. It's so outside of what other people would consider normal for me. But the funny thing is, it's actually a return to what I was doing years ago, but my audience wasn't responding to it, so I didn't lean into it. But once I removed that part of the equation and just thought, well, I'm just going to do what satisfies me, a whole lot changed. Sometimes I think about artwork that I'm working on, and I kind of go, what would I hang in my place? I used to kind of think of it as, what could I sell to somebody? Instead, I prefer to think of it now as, what do I connect with? What can I be proud of? Because when you're really proud of your own artwork, other people can feel that. When you're just making artwork for the sake of content, which I hate the way that sounds, it can look that way. So, it's a long-winded rant about, what was that long-winded rant about? So the lesson here is that social media actually has a lot of great value. When it changes, it can force us to make changes as well. And some of them are for the good, putting us out of our comfort zone, trying media types like short video that actually show more of the process than ever, that might create more value in what you do. The other side of that is doing things for likes, for views. We all want those things, right? But is it sustainable? Are you doing something authentic? And I think that at the end of the day, that's really what it comes down to. Long term, if people are buying from you, or want artwork from you or music from you, the more being authentic, being who you really are, you don't have to fake that. You can do that forever. But doing stuff for the sake of likes and views, that's a moving target. You can't really control what the parameters are for that. The only thing you can really be is you, and your artwork should say that every single time, whether people like it or not. Yeah, some days we're gonna win, some days we're gonna lose, but that's really the process. Every day, all day, we have no control over that. Well, thank you guys again so much. Hope you enjoyed the artwork and the change up of the format. Thank you again. If you're painting, have fun.